what you're essentially saying is that for any investor, especially a first-time retail investor, I mean, individual investor, the best option for creating long-term wealth is the mutual fund space, right? But the mutual fund space itself has become a bit of a maze, Like, in spite of the fact that you've got 6 product categories, you've got something like 1,500 schemes and, 44 AMCs. Still a small number compared to some of the developed markets, but still for an individual investor in the Indian mutual fund space, it's a little bit confusing. So how do you recommend, or how would you advise this individual investor to navigate this space?
Oh, that is not very complex. Because, that is in all dimension of our lives. If you choose to, buy a shoe, even it could just be, as complicated. And, you can, Amazon is not actually just a retailing company. It is a company which helps you compare.
Right.
And comparison by different parameters. But I would like to, this is something which is little more complex. This is something which has even more consequence, because you decide today and you have to decide for the long run, and that decision should be valid for a long period of time.
Right.
So in that sense, and there is a consequence for undoing it, reversing it, or changing course. So I would say that, there are about 32 kind of funds authorized by SEBI. The open-end funds, 16, equity funds, 16 debt funds, and, 16 kind of, quite a few hybrid funds as well. And not taking into account the universe of index fund that could be launched beyond all this. So you will be in a state of confusion if you don't decide what to do. And that is something which most individuals, most consumers, most people who are making a useful or, very important decision or making a choice. If you have to study today, and you are getting out of college, today you have 50 options. You can well go into culinary studies, or which I could not have imagined, when I was growing up. So you have problem of plenty, you have problem of choice,
right?
But you have to choose. And here the framework for choosing is.
So if I may just interrupt, when you have a problem of choice, or you have plenitude of choice, it tends to paralyze you.
Yeah.
So how does,
that is where I think,
investor sort of...
I think, this investor education or investor literacy or financial literacy or the basic framework of, how things work, understanding of that is the only weak point. Even there we are in a state of infancy. The whole, awareness about mutual fund came from that accidental mutual fund Sahi Hai campaign. It was able to raise expectation, and mutual funds, anybody who has experienced it, who has started investing his, small sum of money, 500 rupees. One is that it is possible to do it. It is possible to do it with great ease. You can do it in 10 minutes flat. That is one thing. Second is that, people did it, and it was able to provoke people to do it or explore it. And after doing it, they are finding it that, yes, that is true. That is just reaffirmation that, yes, it happens, is just as important. Now comes, okay, let's go all hog. And, you go and tell because there is no better marketing than your friend or your neighbor or somebody whom you trust telling you, more than the advisor, telling you that I did this, you should do it. It's a sensible thing to do. We haven't had this experience in the previous 30 years. People got excited about investments. Think of Master Gain, or think of Morgan Stanley, or think of the infrastructure fund, or think of the technology fund. Every 5-7 years, people got excited to invest only to get disappointed. Now people are not getting disappointed. In the last 10 years, the SIP book, which has arrived at, reached something like 20,000 crore every month, flowing into the market steadily, is something which is, creating great deal of happiness among people. People may take out, many a times I come across, this is still the most popular question at Value Research, that I invested, my money has grown, should I take it out? And sometimes people take it out. I have taken it out and market has gone up again. What should I do? So people are getting back again. And this was the case. In fact, till 2008, ever since, what happened in 2004 was somewhat similar. People were used to a drifting market for a long time. So nobody thought that market going up from 4,000 points to 5,000 points was like 25% rise, pack up and go home. Then at 5,000 points, the people who packed up and went home, they realized that, okay, now it has gone up to 6,000. So they'll come back again. So they were coming back again, and some people were going out. Likewise, so it happened. Now, this time it is, people are experiencing it in a manner where they are not getting disappointed. They think that it is a long-term thing. And even the awareness that you have to invest for the long run is far higher. So I think, that is why I feel that this is still in a state of infancy, more than any mutual fund sahi hai campaign or anything. I think simplification by advisors, simplification by tools like Value Research Online, simplification, being able to guide people, because, you will have 2,000 funds and you will have another 2,000 funds in next 2 years. But that is, instead, and this clutter will only continue. There are good fund managers still making inroads. But you need few of them. And those few, if you are able to, handpick them with guidance, with understanding, and that it is now becoming far much easier. I think, 10 years back, 5 years back, it would have been a little difficult for people to think that, okay, here is an app and I should be able to, it is guiding me how to do it. Once you actually start ordering food, and then you start getting your taxi, and then you start doing your SIP, then 3 years later, you just might start taking the advice also more seriously.